Right, let's move on. Transfer deadline day as we're recording this. Been some ins and outs throughout the season, throughout the transfer window. Chelsea did all theirs early on, so they're all resting. So I thought we'd go through the ins one at a time, see what you guys thought to them. So let's start off with the last one in. Wesley Fofana, St Etienne, around 30 million. Neil, your views on him?
He's what I'm torn between this one. Out of the three, I think this is probably the weakest, not just because of the player, but because of the capacity. Because the French league isn't the same. It's not the same mentality. It's not the same playing ability, and also there just seems to be a little bit of. He's only played 30 games. Yes, he could be an absolute brilliant player. We've got the right manager to train him up to the next level, but he's having to come in and not really had any time to adapt. So before, when we had Morgan and we had Maguire, we had Sionchu as the understudy. It looks like Rodgers' formation will be the 3-5-2 or 3-5 at the back. So with that in mind, with Amartey out, you're going to have to throw him straight in. And for the 100K that he's on and for the 30 mil, it's a lot of money and a lot of pressure on him. Hopefully he can live up to it. I'm hoping for the best, but it wasn't the transfer I think we needed, but I think it's the one that Brendan Rodgers had his eye on the most.
Alex, your views on him?
So for myself personally, I was hoping for Leicester to sign Fofana. Was slightly skeptical at the same time, especially with all the social media and chaos he seemed to have been causing over the last month or so. So I am trying to keep a level head with this one. I think at his age, he's a perfect fit for a development for a player under the coaching scheme of Rodgers. However, at a 35 plus 5 million add-on, that's quite a large amount of money for a 19-year-old. Also, I do have worried with, is this just a stepping stone for him? James, I think we discussed this, where, is he just using this in a way for him to get his feet wet in the Premier League, and once he's developed enough, he can jump ship? Now, if that's the case, then we might be able to sell him for a high price. But I think my biggest issue right now is that I'm trying to look at to see what he can deliver now, rather than looking at the future. So, at his age, I'm skeptical, to say the least, even though I've been very for this move for about a month now.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying there. I think I'm in kind of two minds with him. I think he's a great prospect, but he's 19 years old. He's going to make mistakes. He's not got Premier League experience. Yesterday when I saw Evans didn't look fit, the thing going through my head was, if that was Sionchu and Fofana at the back, I'd be really worried, because the two of them have got so many mistakes in them. I think he'll be a good player under Rodgers. It might take time. The money is on. I'm not sure the fans will give him that amount of time, because if you're spending 30 million on defender, he needs to come in and start performing straight away. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. One thing I'd like to see from him, and Neil brings this up many a time in the last season, is that we used to have Maguire used to be that target man at corners. And I'm hoping that he is that man, because at corners, yes, all right, at corners, if we can get it past the first man, which we seem to not be able to do, when we get it past the first man, if we've got that target man, such as Elliott and Walsh used to do, they used to score quite a few goals. And you see defenders all the time scoring. John Terry was a great one for it. If we can get someone like that from Fofana, who's a target man, who can head a ball in their box, then I think he'll be great. I really, really think he'll be great in a back three with Evans, Sionchu, and him, with Evans playing in the centre role to try and help them to help their games on. And I think they will be a formidable three. It just depends how quickly he takes to being in the Premier League, because the French league is a lot slower than the Premier League. And it'll just take him time to adjust. He won't be the finished article, but I think if we give him time and support, he should be okay. But as we have discussed, seeing his attitude around, I want to go to Leicester, and demanded that he went to Leicester from his original club, that to me suggests that this is just going to be a stepping stone for his next kind of big club.
We're going to have to demand that big price tag. There's a reason why we signed on a 5-year deal, I think, as well. And everybody kind of gets that now. But the reason why is because we know he's got talent for the future and we've got the right manager to get it out of him. But again, going 3 at the back, the issue is at the moment, we've not really got that defensive. If you're trying to play 3 at the back, you can't play that game in, game out, especially with Europa League, because we've got, with now Amartey out injured, Johnny Evans just coming back, you've got 3. And one of them's not got 0 Premier League experience.
Yeah.
So that's not looking great in my opinion, to be honest, going forward. But I'm hoping he's going to be a great player and a great player for us, but not too great that he just sticks himself in the shop window within the first season.
Yeah, exactly. So going on to the next one, Timothy Castagna. Neil, what are your views on him after seeing him play a few games?
I think it's great. I didn't see the West Ham game, so apparently he was man-marked at that game. So I'm going on the games before that, which was fantastic. I didn't expect him to hit the ground running. Just look at the game against West Brom. Okay, they're not the best side, but the fact that he got a goal, he was getting in the right positions, he was defensively quite strong against Man City. Really happy with his performance and the way he turned out, and I can't really sing enough praise about him. I think we did post-match commentary, we did loads and loads of stuff about him, but I'm really excited to see him and Ricardo in the same team because he's looking very, very competitive to Ricardo's level, which we've been lacking for a while.
Alex, what do you think to him?
I think it was highway robbery for what we got, what we paid to get him. And then if you want to compare to what we sold Chilwell for, I know they don't play the same position all the time with Castagna coming up the wing, but I think it's just highway robbery. The way that he just kind of hit the ground running and just produced, and last game against West Ham he was marked. He could barely get anything going, but I think as time goes on, I think we'll start seeing more and more as to even more as to why we bought him. And I think for him, I don't even know what the limit would be for him here, because I wasn't expecting much, and him coming in, I've been completely blown away by what he's brought.
Okay, I think for me, it's been a brilliant signing, but we still haven't addressed the left back situation. He doesn't play he can play left back, but that's not his regular position. His regular position is where he plays now, and that's the same position as Ricardo. I still believe we need a left-footed left back because and James Justin struggles as well because he's right-footed. When he tries to block with his right foot, it's difficult on that wing because it's not. You try and block with your left foot, it's not your strongest foot. So they always try and block with the right foot. And we've had this conversation with Matt Piper before that someone with a left foot's a lot stronger. So I think it's interesting about what do you do when Ricardo comes back, because I don't believe you can drop Castagna straight away because Ricardo's been out injured for so long. It's going to take him quite a bit to get up to match speed anyway. But what do you do? Because Ricardo started his career on the left back, didn't he?
Yeah, I think what you're going to do is you're going to see Ricardo go to right back and then Castagna go to left back, because at Atalanta he was playing, I think it was 50% of his time on the left and the right. So it means that we've got flexibility, and the fact that we've got Justin that can play both sides as well means it's really useful for our squad. But I think Justin would be at the 3 and then 1 that we dropped.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sorry, Alex.
I was going to say, I think sometimes we try to pick out the negative to this, but I think at the same time, you got to look at the positive. When Ricardo comes back, we have to start asking questions about where we're going to slot people because our depth increases once our injuries our injured guys start coming back. That's a conversation that we really seem to not have had for a while now because of what we've been lacking. But with the injuries, when players start coming back, the question really will be who starts where can we slot in somewhere else? It's a good question to ask.
I think you're right. And having a quick look at yesterday's game, yes, he was marked out of the game. West Ham had clearly done the homework of what he does. However, I'm going to touch on this now. Perez did nothing to protect him or to help him at all. So generally the games before, someone has taken defenders away to give him that room to get into the box, to cross it, to get the assist that he does, and even to score the goal that he did. Whereas Perez did nothing yesterday. And I think if you can put someone ahead of him, so I think personally, if you put him in that left wing back slot, Barnes will be perfect with him because the two will interchange so well together. It's just, I feel a bit, if we can get Under on there, and him and Ricardo on one side, them two on the other side, surely that's formidable. Surely every defense is going to be scared at that with them four running at you. And then all of a sudden, you've then got to see where Vardy is. Surely that's immense.
Yeah.
And then you also have Madison also in center attacking midfield.
Yeah, you're going to try and mark out Tillemans and Pratt at the same time, and Madison. That's just going to be. That's the kind of team that we really wanted at the end of the day. The team that they're going to go, what are they going to put out? We don't even know. So what the hell's going to happen?
Yeah, and I think the only downside is what West Ham did yesterday. West Ham knew how we were going to attack, where we were going to attack, and they just shut us down and then just gave the ball to Antonio, who absolutely destroyed our defence. So the counter-attack is going to be one of them things that we need to be wary of. But I think with Ndidi there, being a bit deeper than Mendy probably plays, that will help us considerably. Because he's the one that always stops everything, because he does sit a little bit deeper than Mendy plays, and that I think gives the defense a little bit more protection.
He's out though. We can't even think of that until 2021.
So going on to the last one that we've brought in so far, Kenges Under. Neil, I know you didn't see the game, and what are your views on him joining us?
So from what I heard, it's quite positive. It's exactly the sign that we were looking to have on that right-hand side / left-hand side. You were saying they were overlapping with Barnes, changing with Barnes as well. So I'm really happy. Obviously, there's going to be a massive target on his head because Riyad Mahrez, as the fans know, we've been lacking a Riyad Mahrez type. He looks like the next understudy to that. So we'll give him time, give him the ability, see how well he does at the end of the season. Hopefully him and Barnes can pop up with a few goals. But yeah, I'm really excited, and it was the right move. I think we've been tracking him for a while as well, so it's looking good, I think.
Alex, I know you saw the game yesterday. What were your first views on him?
I liked his play. I don't think he really had the opportunity that everyone was expecting him to have. He kind of came into a game that was, they were already down, and I think he did everything in his power to try to make an impression and try to leave a mark on the game. Now, like I said, he didn't start the game. He came on as a sub. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for him. And I think moving forward, I think we're going to, when he gets to train more with the club and first team, I'm glad that we actually have a winger, like an actual winger, rather than having Perez play on the wing, because that didn't work out at all. Perez hasn't worked out at all, but that's a different story. But I think Under is, I think he's a good player to have, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he'll do this season, especially with how we've gotten him has been great, because he's here on loan with the option to buy, which I think is great. So if he proves to be, a great player, we can, buy him. And if he's not the player that we expected, or he disappoints us, that's the end of it. So I think it's going to be kind of a interesting take on what's going to happen this year. And I think he the way I kind of view it is how Tielemans, when he came here on loan, it was kind of like a try before you buy. So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. My first views are he seems really exciting. I was really impressed with his confidence as well. First game, probably not trained much due to his international permit. Just came in and just seemed like he'd been playing with the team quite a while. Was interchanging quite well, and I was really, really impressed with him. His confidence was there. Yes, he had a silly dive, but if you ever see Roma play, then that's basically what they do every single game. So that's probably what he's caught up in training, and I think they'll get it out of him. I don't think he's on Riyad Mahrez's level. I know all the Leicester fans will hope he is, but I don't think currently he's not. But he might get there. I'm not sure. But I was really, really impressed with his play. He'd go inside, he'd go outside. and I just thought he just looked so good compared with Perez that was there at the start. He hasn't got the confidence to take anyone on. He always seems to cut inside and pull it back to Tillemans or pull it back to somebody else like Mendy. And we saw yesterday he only made one successful pass forward because most of his passes are backwards. Whereas Undo did quite a few passes forward, taking people on, and he just seemed. I know no one was there, but if we'd have been there, Neil, it would really excite the crowd.
Yeah, that made me sneeze.
So to me, I think he's going to do well. And like you say, even if he doesn't, then we can just send him back. But if he does do well,
I think what we've got to remember as well is that when we were playing the 4-4-2 with Mahrez, all the emphasis was on him for the attack. Yeah. So Danny Simpson would stay back and go, look, I'll deal with the defensive side. I've not got the pace, but I'll deal with two people. You go and do your thing. Yeah. So the emphasis was a lot more on Mahrez to be able to perform. Now, with Under, you've got Ricardo or Castagna that's going to overlap. So what that means is that the emphasis isn't always going to be on him. And if we're playing 3 at the back / 3 and 3 in the middle, we have the option of going to either side. Before, when we used to go to Mahrez, it was a very, very similar play. We'd get the ball, pass it to midfield. Midfield, probably Danny Drinkwater would then give it to a Mahrez. Mahrez would do his tricky work, maybe pass it, maybe shoot. So we've got different ways of playing and different tactics now. So I don't think we need somebody that's to the level of Mahrez because of the overlapping wingers in what they give you compared to Fuchs and Simpson now, which you've got Castagna and Ricardo / Justin.
Yeah, as you know, Leicester fans always want to replace someone with someone else.
Every team does. It's not just us, but I totally get what you mean.
So looking at the outs, I won't go through all of them because we'll be here all day. So Calvin Bassey's gone to Rangers on a free transfer. Daniel Everson has obviously gone to our sister club on loan. I thought it was a strange one because I've heard really, really good things about him, how he's probably going to be our next number one at some point. So it's probably good that he's gone on loan to get some experience, but I always thought he might be number 2 ahead of Ward, but it seems not. I don't know what you two think.
I think he's still young. I'm not too sure about him. I've heard great things from Oldham when he was there last season, but overall, I can't really tell you too much about him, to be honest. But I mean, we've got time. We've got people that are going to be in that position. So I'm more than happy to just send to another club. Belgium 2nd division or 1st division is probably not the best, but experience is experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think you're right. Darnell Johnson's gone to Wigan. That was quite a surprise to me. I thought they'd keep him and try and get him to play some games this season with all the cup competitions and leagues. So that was a strange one. Obviously, he's gone for first team football, but it just seemed a strange one to me.
I believe he's only gone till January of 2021. So I think it's only a 6-month loan. So I think it's maybe just get some play time in, bring him back for the second half of the season. And, if he produces well over in Wigan, then, you see what he can do here.
Yeah, because Matt Piper as well, he knows his dad and stuff quite well. And I think he said he's ready for the Premier League, but maybe this is just the kind of boost because at the time, the games are going to come massively from January to May because of the World Cup and what have you not. So I think that's probably the opportunity. And if you're saying he's going to be a 3-month thing, makes perfect sense in my opinion. And then he'll be ready for the Europa League if we need him.
Yep. Gazelle's gone to Besiktas on loan. Seems a good one to me. Gets 50% of his wages off the wage bill for a season. That could only be good. He's never going to be in Rodgers' plans, is he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he was a Puel buy, and it didn't work out. That's fine. Hopefully he's gone, and wish him all the best. But I think his contract expires soon anyway. So again, more off the wage bill, especially with COVID, the better we can do.
Yep, totally agree. Ben Chilwell played his first game at the weekend. We've already discussed this offline. It just seems a Ben Chilwell of old. 1 assist, 1 goal. Played okay. Fair play to him. Moved to a different club. I'm not really bothered what he does, if I'm honest.
Alex?
I mean, I will say he'll probably score against us because all our ex-players do, don't they?
Yeah, sounds good.
one I wanted to talk about was obviously Silva's gone to Sampdoria on a 2-year deal. We decided to end his nightmare, which I think is probably a good thing, because he just, ever since that move was how many seconds late, ever since then it seems to have gone downhill. He seemed okay playing. I'm just not sure why he hadn't played as much as he had played. But for me, it's a good, just end his nightmare and get him out of the club and off the wage list, because I think he was on 80 odd grand a week as well, wasn't he?
It's just what we needed, to be honest. I think it didn't work out. We're sorry for him. We wish him all the best. I remember seeing him at Huddersfield, and he was getting a ole every time he touched the ball, and people were cheering. But it's just one of the things that didn't work out. And I don't think he's built physically for the Premier League, and he's not got the quiet mentality. So I think the Italian league will actually suit him quite well.
Yeah, ever since he even showed up, it just hasn't worked out for him here. And it's, him staying here hasn't worked well for him or for the club. So, I think it's good for both sides. It gives us clears up some space for our wage bill, and for him, he can move forward with his career.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's talk of Slimani going. I know he was supposed to be going to West Brom, but that broke down because of his wage demands as per usual. So it just seems, I think he'll go, but it probably will go tomorrow in Portugal's transfer window. But if he doesn't go, then he's just going to have to see out his contract. I don't think we'll ever get rid of him otherwise.
No, he's being paid way too much. And like I said, you're not going to sell him to anyone. So if he doesn't go tomorrow, I think he'll be sitting on the bench, or not even sitting on the bench. Sorry, he won't even be dressed and playing for the entire season.
He just knows he can't get the wages anywhere else, so he might as well just stay and go on loan. And he knows his career is coming not to an end, but it's coming down slowly. So take the 80 grand while you could, and I don't blame him, because I'd probably do the same in his position.
It must be tough getting paid 80 grand a week for 52 weeks a year to not do anything.
Exactly.
So what one that has surprised me is that Gray's not gone anywhere. On social media, he said he wanted to get freedom. He's not been quiet about it. He wants to leave. I don't think he's in Rodgers' plans. Every time he plays, he looks disinterested, and I've not seen him have a good game in ages. I'm just really surprised that he's not gone anywhere.
Nobody's come in for him. That's the thing. If you want to look like you're moving, like the Arsenal game, he should have put in an unbelievable performance to the point where we go, actually, we need to keep him. But he didn't. He was possibly the worst player on the pitch, because he just missed everything. He tried to take everything on himself, and his mentality's not in there. I understand why other clubs haven't come in for him, because at the end of the day, what are they going to get out of him? What have they seen out of him? Because we're more than willing to give a player time to develop. We've given him 4 years, and I think we've mentioned this multiple times now, where Iheanacho, Barnes, Chilwell, now you're looking at Soyuncu as well. All these players have come in before, upped their game, and passed him. Obviously, there are different positions, but we're more than willing to give a player time. And Rodgers has probably said to you, this is what you need. Remember at the beginning of last season, he goes, I've dropped him. He needs to work on his stuff, and then he'll be put back in the team. He had a couple of good performances, started the game, didn't work properly, and it didn't really work out for him. So Rodgers gone, well, we've given you the opportunity. You've had your chance to work on it, and you haven't. So now you just got to sit, not even on the bench anymore. So I think it's his own fault at the end of the day, but that mentality just isn't going to work at other clubs. So that's probably the reason, not because he's not talented, because there's definitely a talented player in there, especially when we brought him in 2016. But now it just seems like this is his own fate now. So I don't blame other clubs for not coming in, because he'll probably have to dump down to the Championship once again.
Sorry, I was just going to say, this is just my opinion. I think he needs to go on loan to the Championship, and he has got the talent in the Championship to tear it up, to get goals, to get assists, and build his confidence back up, and give him that game time that he desperately needs. Sometimes when I see him play, he just doesn't look confident anymore. When he was playing, he scored that wonder goal against Man United. I remember his confidence was so high that game, the last time I saw him play, he just looked like a shell of a player he used to be. And like Neil says, he's just not improving. And we've had this discussion many, many times on our podcast around his decision making is terrible.
Yeah, 100%.
He's got people square to him. He doesn't pass. He goes for Hollywood goals all the time to try and make the name for himself, where his coaches are probably telling him, look up, pass square, pass back, pick the right option. But he's not doing. So I think I'm with you, Neil. If he goes anywhere, it'll probably be the Championship. Because he's not going to get in anybody else's first team in the Premier League constantly with the currently way he's playing.
I think one issue. Sorry, Alex, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, if the clubs look for players that produce, when you're not producing or trying for that matter, no one's going to be interested in you. So, if he wants to play somewhere else or get the freedom to play, he's got to put in the effort. Because if he doesn't put in the effort, he's going to be, he won't even make the team. He'll be sitting at home watching the game because, he doesn't put in the effort to actually try.
No, I totally agree. I think one of the things that we saw glimpses of brilliance last season. I remember the Sheffield game where he came on as a substitute, looked great. The game against Crystal Palace with that amazing build-up goal with him and Vardy was just spectacular. And we're thinking, great, finally we've got somebody off the bench that we're going to use. And the glimpses are there, and we thought he's got his head sorted, but maybe he's just too comfortable now. Maybe he's just like, I'm on this money, I'm not going to get in the team. Well, but I think his contract ends in maybe a couple of years or so. So we're just going to have to he'll be the person that we kind of send on loan if anybody wants him. But again, James, I'm surprised that nobody's taken him, but the Championship will probably, as you said, probably the best place for him.
Yeah, I actually think he's in the last year of his contract. So that's another thing.
Maybe even they can watch the games together. So that's it for transfers. I've just had a quick look on Sky Sports Transfer Centre. I can't see any rumours about any incomings or outgoings for us at the minute. Obviously, the transfer window is open for another 2 hours, but I don't expect much business from us.
We forgot Diabate as well.
Ah, yes, Diabate's gone.
The other Turkish I can't remember now. Transport or something? I can't remember the name. But he's gone to a Turkish side.
Is he on loan or been sold?
No, he's been sold permanently.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gone.
Well, that's good as well. Gets him off the wage bill. And again, he's not in Rodgers' plans. So
yeah.
He was a strange buy. I think he was... Did Claude Puel buy him because Claude Puel's son used to play football with him or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, but he looked decent. I remember was it Peterborough we were playing against? He got 2 goals and an assist in his first game. I was like, this could be onto something here. But I've been guilty of doing that so many times with like Jeff Schlupp, Joe Dodu.
Yeah.
If not in the plans, not in the plans, and obviously the club know better than I do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think so they're the transfers. So what do you guys think to the Premier League squad? Because obviously the Premier League squad's different to the Europa squad. So let's have a quick look at the Premier League squad. Is it enough? Is it a big enough squad with the right depth to do well in the Premier League?
Yes, I think so. If we can stay injury prone, because the issue is with the injuries is that we lost in Didi. That was a big one. He was one that I wasn't too sure what was going to happen. But if we can keep this squad ready, then we should be okay. I think with the way Premier League is going, we need to concentrate on that, ignore the majority of what's happening in the Europa League and just play kind of a less good team now that that's been announced as well. So for the most part, I'm just happy with the squad that we have. Again, we've got strength and depth more than we have ever before. We've built up slowly with like Under coming in, with certain players that have like Castagna coming in was a great addition in my opinion as well. So with the squad that we have, it could be deeper, but I think it's all right for now. If we lose injuries, especially somebody like a Vardy or a Schmeichel, then we are looking a bit light. That's the only issue that I think at the moment. But for the most part, I'm happy with it. But if you're trying to extend that to Europa League as well, that's when I think the tension is going to be, the squad's going to be really, really stretched.
Okay. Alex, what do you think?
What we've managed to do with the pandemic happening this season and this year, I think, what we've managed to do has been, impressive to say the least. And that might just be my opinion on this. I definitely agree with Neil on the injury front. We lose a player here and there. If we definitely lose Vardy, is Nacho's going to be our starting striker. But we don't have anyone to back him. Do we bring Slimani in? No, because Rodgers had already said that he's not in the plans. So there's this, as long as we can avoid more injuries, I think we'll be fine. But if we get more injuries, that changes the dynamics of everything.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Premier League's 25 players. I think if we just go for the Premier League, I think that squad's probably good enough to be top 6, if I'm honest. Europa League's probably the one that worries me. Again, it's a 25-man squad. However, you have to have 8 homegrown players because of the UEFA ruling. So if you start to get injuries, and obviously we've lost Chilwell as another homegrown. If Gray had gone, he'd have been another one. So your squad for that seems to get less and less. But as we discussed before, I'm not sure Europa's our priority. Fans can't go. So is it a priority?
And there's no financial benefit either as well. It's more just for the kind of benefit of the club, really. Say we've done well in Europe but at the end of the day, there isn't that much money compared to Champions League. So I don't see the club going out and spending the big money unless we get Champions League next year.
All right, so we've discussed transfers. So we're all back next week. Alex, hopefully with us with some sound. Neil will be with us. Hopefully Ant will be back as well. We're discussing the Villa game coming up in 2 weeks' time. So we'll do a bit of a preview show for that. So thanks, Alex. I won't make you talk. Thanks again, Neil.
See you later, James. See you later, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.